Really?
Yeah, like a cold. It'll be like a cold open.
Yeah,
That's what's
like a cold
happening
open. Yeah, yeah,
right
yeah.
now. Right
Except the
now.
dullest version of it, where we're just talking about setting up the recording. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is the cold open right here.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
getting the notification.
All right. Well, here we go. Anyway, this is United in Green. I'm Mike. Again, I have my friend Will with us. Will, how you doing?
Good. It's a cold and dreary Tuesday, but happy to be talking about some football.
That's right, baby. We had some good news today, but uh, other than that,
Yep.
we have our friend Tristan on. Tristan is photographer extraordinaire, writer. He's a super fan. He comes down from the more north, cold north from where we are, and he supports our team as hard as anybody. Tristan, how are you doing, man? Good to have you here.
I'm good. Happy to be here. And Mike, I don't know if you remember, but I remember actually talking to you about this idea that you had about this podcast, and now it's a real thing. So I think it's really cool, and I don't even I'm super excited, like to see how this unroll.
I think that like the I think when we first met was probably one of the first meetups at Burlington Beer, and um,
Yeah,
I had this because I had been doing my other podcast, Wicked Spursy, plug. Um, I had this. It just kind of popped into my head. I was like, this can actually happen with this club if it takes off. So like having these conversations and telling people about it and getting some positive feedback on that. It's a pretty big deal. Um,
I
so
guess.
yeah, I'm glad you remember that, and I'm glad to have you guys here today. Will, you have anything fun happen this weekend, or anything you want to talk about? You drink too much? Did you eat too much? Did you party?
Didn't drink a drop this weekend, laying
Oh my
low
god.
after St. Patty's Day. So, just getting ready for a busy month of April. So a couple weddings and some trips. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I'll tell you, man. My son had a soccer tournament down in Massachusetts, and we had it was the NEFC has their big tournament down there. So as we know, Coach Pfeiffer talked about like the clubs that are down there, like NEFC, Res Youth Academy and Boston Bolts, and that's it. So we got to play against the Seacoast United kids. And I thought it was cold, man. It was 35 degrees and downpouring rain. And I honestly thought, like, my son, his whole team, they're like 10-year-olds, but they play in the U12s. And they played Seacoast in the very first game. My son scored within the first 5 minutes. And I was like, oh, this can be a walk in the park. Turns out they didn't really put two halves of football together all weekend. So unfortunately, uh, they only scored 3 goals all weekend, but they did play the NEFC Premier Team, U12 Premier Team, which was I've never seen youth soccer played the way that it was played this weekend. It was really eye opening compared to some of the tournaments we went to last year around the Northeast. But it was really fun to watch, and I had a really good time. And the parents had a good time because it was our first tournament of the year, so of course we got to the hotel early and had to, you know, let the kids go in the pool while the parents went to the bar.
Cool.
So it was a fun weekend. How about you, Tristan? Yeah, what's going on up north?
So far, not really. I mean, there's a lot going on actually with school and work, and I also still do photography, hockey games and nightclubs and other type of events too. So I'm like really busy overall, but I really can't wait for the season to start again and meet the new players and see you guys and meet new people. And I think we're ready for even more like magical moments this year. I think that's what we all expect too. And now with the the great announcement today, that they've reached probably now more than 1,000 season ticket holders. We can expect like big crowds for all the home games, and that's gonna be great. I don't want to speculate, but pretty sure we can sell this thing out on the opening night. So yeah, it's gonna be a big party in Vermont. And yeah, I'm looking at your wall. Do you do you have an impact scarf, or you don't yet?
As you see in the middle, I have my red and blue one there. That
Yeah.
yeah. I don't have an impact scarf. I guess that's the answer to that.
Yeah.
No, we were adopted Revs fans, but now that our keeper decided to go to the
Yeah.
other side of North London, uh
It's
I,
even
I,
better
I may
now.
have to
It's even
switch.
better now. So, you
I
know,
may have to switch my alliances.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's get right into this because I find it I find it super interesting that that you guys like you and a lot of the Impact fans came down and were able to at the beginning of our season last year were able to kind of um give us the lay of the land as far as far as North American football goes. Um in fandom and how to excite the crowd and excite the players
Yeah.
and be part of the experience uh off the field. I find it very interesting that the Impact Group was able to come down and teach us basically how to cheer for our club. But at the same time, you have the unique experience of also being a photographer and being down on the field. So you were there with us from the get-go, from the start, right from the jump. What was your experience um from the start of this whole thing? Did you start as like an official photographer for the team? How did you get into
Yeah.
that kind of position where you're doing that, but you're also like becoming a super fan?
All right. So like from the very beginning, I think they announced the club in October, like 2021, something like that. I knew like Vermont was getting a club, and but it's really just when they dropped the logo, actually. It really just like I really just liked what I saw. And in Montreal we were having like a little crisis with our own club, and it's still not like all fixed. But I think the overall timing was just great, because many Impact fans were felt betrayed, and we lost our. It's like we lost our own club. Like they erased our logos, our colors, like just 30 years of history. And then some people, and now they tried to fix it a bit. Some people came back, and some others will never be back um, at the stadium. So I think it was just a great timing for people up north. Like me, were frustrated to get something else and experience something new. And that's basically how it started for me. But it's really the day they dropped the logo, and then I started reading about the club, like the values, the mission, the whole environmental and social justice thing. And I really liked what I saw. And it's kind of weird because after like a week or two, I was like, am I really committing to a fourth division like American club? Am I really gonna go across the border like in another country to watch like games playing on a college pitch? And then I was like, maybe it would just like time will do its thing, and I'll just go on to something else. sometimes you get into something, let's say like skiing, and then you buy a coat, you buy gloves, you buy pants and boots and the skis, and then you go skiing for like 2 or 3 times to realize you don't really like it actually. And you know, you you just forget about it. I thought that was gonna happen, the bubble would pop, like we say in French, but it didn't. And I remember the week they dropped the logo, I wrote an email to the club, and just saying that I was like super excited about what was gonna happen, and I knew it was kind of special the way they were bringing it. And Pat Inferno actually answered me the next day, and so that kind of also confirmed like how I saw the old project and how well run this whole team was about to go. And it's from there actually I got in touch with Pat, and a few weeks later I actually told him I was doing photography, and if they let me like go around the field and actually having access to the field, I'd be happy. And that's how it went. So it's not really much more complicated. I'm not like um they don't I'm not like employed by the team. I just do that like for fun, for the passion. And I love it this way, honestly. Like if Pat would come to me and tell me like we'll pay you to take pictures, I wouldn't even accept, I think. I just really like the way it goes. And the first season has been like an overall success on this.
I really enjoy that. That's I have some things that I've been offered to be paid for in my life uh, around my work that I've also like I have such a passion for that I've decided that like I'm going to do this for free as a volunteer service. And I can tell you, like, I have been on your social media, and I love looking at some of your pictures. I don't know how you get some of
Yeah.
the images you get, but because I'm a terrible photographer, I totally understand where you're coming from. For me, like, uh, becoming a fan and just buying a season ticket straight off was a no risk proposition for me.
Yeah.
Um, and it's and for myself, it's a different story because um I know I've had season tickets for baseball teams in different places that I've lived, and minor league baseball teams, and,
Yeah.
and knowing that like those are actually quite expensive. uh Seeing the prices here, I was like, this is a no risk proposition. If they're terrible, we go. The worst thing that happens is we go and we watch a couple of soccer games, and it's, I have fun with my son. Best case scenario, this whole thing works out. I meet a bunch of great people. We hang out in the parking lots, and we become good friends. I mean, even Will and I have become good friends, and normally on a Saturday morning we would fight like cats and dogs, but in a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon, uh, we're best of friends, and we're united, like this podcast is named, we're united in green. And uh and and that's what it's all about,
Yeah.
quite honestly. um I don't know if Will had a question for you. I could keep going all day, but
So I guess it's at risk of ranging from the topic of the Vermont Green, but I guess I'm curious from your perspective as an Impact ultra or supporter, whatever you want to identify
Yeah.
yourself as, what happened with that club where they decided to change the identity, and how did that affect the fan base? Just as
So
they're our closest, you know, soccer base here, so I'm curious what happened.
yeah, so basically we just had a new president back in like 2018 or 19, and then everything was going fine, I guess. I mean, we actually had a great season with him, like the two first ones, and then he just decided he was just gonna screw this all up. And so they hired like two like creative, I don't know what type of job they had, two creative guys, and then they basically just started from scratch, like made a new logo, new name, new kit, new everything, and it just didn't work. It just, like, you can't in Quebec, you can't just erase the fleur de lis, you know. It's just an emblem for us, and then you just take that away from us with a bland and gray logo. It just didn't work at all. I don't know what was the idea behind it. I don't know how like Saputo even approved it. Like it's literally his baby, you know, the impact. He started this in 1993, just just for some new guy who's been running hockey clubs to just get here and ruin everything. So I don't know what happened there, but the answer was brutal. Honestly, we've seen some bad like rebrand in the MLS, and we thought maybe clubs were gonna learn from this, but apparently like we didn't, and I think we made it worse. So that's that's pretty much. You're probably hearing my dog, right?
Yeah, but it's fine.
Yeah, he probably saw a squirrel or something. And yeah, so that's what happened. And basically the Ultra and the other groups too, basically just got away from the club for a bit of time. And then there were like negotiation and some people came back, and the Ultra never actually came back. They literally got banned from the stadium at some point in the first season. And then yeah, pretty much went downhill at this moment. President actually resigned just before the end of the season. He didn't even. I think there were like 2 or 3 games left. We were not out of the playoffs, and he just left the team. So that's another like dumb move. But I guess we were used to it at this point. And then, you know, the new president is really a great guy that has played for the Impact, a guy from here, and he's been trying to just like fix everything as much as he could.
Bring back, mostly
Yeah,
trying to bring back the way that the Impact play football, right? Like,
yeah.
yeah,
The
it's
identity thing is also very, very important. The Ultra are still not back in the stadium, and that's because of the name. Like keeping CF Montreal, I think it was a mistake. Like they had the opportunity when they changed the old logo to just go back to the old name. Like it was wide open, and they didn't make it. I don't think I'll forgive them this error. Um, I'm back with this new group, Collectif Impact Montréal, which are kind of replacing at the moment the Ultra, like in this section. And there's many like members from the Ultra who join. It's not totally the same, but the culture is there. But you know, we've had our first home game last week, and I'm still not as hype as I was like before the rebrand. Like something is still broken, but yeah, that's pretty much the situation in Montreal. So
I
yeah,
think the moral of the story there is, you know, and I can't speak to your experience. Um, I have my soccer fandom started off with Tottenham Hotspur, but I did adopt the Revolution. But I with Tottenham Hotspur, you know, we always say this is the history of the club,
yeah,
and you know, that's kind of our little joke, is that like Tottenham doesn't win trophies, right? But um, we've had 4 managers since 2019. And the moral of the story for us is time heals all wounds, right?
Yeah.
So maybe with Montreal and the Impact Ultras, time will heal those wounds that that were given to you guys.
Yeah. I hope.
Tyson, our friend Tyson, who's one of our friends that hangs out in the lots with us, has asked actually, like how big of a following do the Green have amongst your, at least your group in Quebec? I know that you have come with some
Yeah.
friends that and some other folks have come down.
Yeah. So like the on the opening game, it was the Ultra that like set the old like event up. So we rent a bus and then we all got together and came down to Vermont. And then some people really like what they saw and they stick to it. Like I know there's some of my close friends who are still like following the club, like on social media and the games and all, and even at the Montreal Impact events. Like I can kind of see like stickers of the Green Mountain Boys of Vermont, like on some cars, on some like stuff everywhere. So yeah, there's something happening there. But there's my close friend, actually Rilas, who's been there for much of the games. I think he's gonna be back this year for probably most of the games too. And
Was
it's
he the fellow that came with his girlfriend a lot?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. He was
And he was like doing the
solid
drum
guy.
and pretty much, you know, he probably has the best like experience, the best ultra experience. So he knows how to run the crowd and everything. But the weird thing about this is we became like great friends, but I've never seen him, never talked to him in Montreal. Like the only interaction we've had were in Vermont, like in the at the pub, at the stadium, like in the parking lot, but
Yeah.
never seen him in Montreal. So that's kind of weird. But the first game for sure, I think we just like brought the spark, and then you guys kind of like took it and made a fire with it. Um, that's how I see it, and that's how like Tyler, um, kind of that's what he told me too at the first game because he was there and he was
Yeah.
hanging out like stickers, but he was the only one at
Yeah.
that point. He was
I was away
yeah
that weekend.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's,
I can show you. I'll show you this picture. I'm going to show it to you on my phone, but I'll send it to you later. But I was at the field uh the previous weekend. My son had a practice in that 17-degree weather. His first outdoor practice of the year is to get ready for this tournament. But I stood in our spot, and this is what I found.
oh. Oh yeah, my close friends are gonna like this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll send that to your social media. And
There's a lot around the stadium.
that sticker's
If
still
yeah,
there
if you
in our
walk around
space.
like in front of Virtue Field, there's a lot of stickers on the poles and
Yep.
yeah, and
And so yeah, I think that and not to kind of make a pun, but the impact that the crew from Montreal had on us, it it can't be understated. I mean, right down to our chants, the LA chants, and that kind of stuff. Um, and I think that Tyler being our first real cheerleader in our, and I call him the benefactor. He kind of started this whole thing for us, and and we're we're actually getting questions, actually listener questions.
no.
But
But I want to add something about this one because I was taking pictures on the first game, and when I look back at these pictures, I actually saw some of you guys like started to come down with us, Montreal people. I didn't know you at the time, but now
Right.
that I'm looking at the pictures, I'm like, oh, this guy was there. Like we all like formed a group, and then you took it from there. So yeah,
I think
that's
that's
really cool.
I think that's very important. And because like the images that you put out, the images that Spencer put out,
Yeah,
unfortunately Spencer wasn't able to be here with us today. I think play a big part in, and we when we talked to Coach Pfeiffer, and we talked to some of the other folks around the club, that they sell those images of the things, of us in the crowd, the Green Mountain Boys in the
yeah,
crowd. Um, they sell the images of the action on the field. They sell those to the players as recruiting tools.
sure.
That you're going to come and play in this pre-professional league. Sure, it's a pre-professional league, but you're going to come to a place where you're supported. You're going to come to a place where the fans are passionate. You're not going to go to a place where there's 3 to 4 people in the crowd, or there's 5 or 6 people in the crowd who are likely the parents of some of the other players. Um,
Exactly.
so that being said, um, how do you separate fandom from kind of photography, or do they kind of work hand in hand?
I think I kind of did both at the same time at some point. I remember sometimes I was taking pictures from the stands and enjoying the goals at the same time. I kind of don't care. So that's also like how great of a position I am, because I'm not like employed, so I can just enjoy too. But yeah, at some point in the season, I really started to take the games like seriously. The first two ones, I'm like, okay, it's cool. I'm taking pictures, but then like as we were like getting close to the playoffs, like goals were getting important, and I actually like started celebrating the goals and not taking pictures. I'm like, what am I doing? So yeah, I don't think I achieved like separating like these two things, but I think it goes together actually too. You know, yeah,
Well, I think it goes to show that, this started off as just a fun watch soccer in the summer and, enjoy ourselves. And then it got really serious and
yeah,
everyone was, really caring about those goals. And
yeah,
it really goes to show how everybody sort of kind of sat up and took notice and started to get really invested in score lines, in such a
yeah.
short span of time.
It's cool because the group of owners like Pat and Matt and Sam, they're all walking around during the game. So we talk like during the game, like
Yeah.
that's kind of cool. And then we celebrate goals together too. I really like that. And the last game was a great example of this one. Like the goals were so important. Like we needed to win this game. It happened, and yeah,
Yeah, you're right. And the owners are readily available and in the crowd, and it really
yeah,
does feel like a
sure.
community experience. It's not
I
just a product. It's a
Not
group of
really.
people. So,
I
uh,
still
you know,
can't believe that like you can just walk around and talk to Matt Wolf. Like this guy is like a genius, a logo designer genius, and he's just like there selling merch. I'm like, what are you doing? So yeah, it's
it's a
really
great
cool.
point. I often forget that. I mean, he's designed a lot of MLS badges. It is you know, it's impressive work.
Yeah, but they're not like in the box, behind closed doors
Right.
with the AC. Like they're outside. Even when it rains, they're right there. Like they're taking photos, taking like stories for Instagram, like talking to the people, to the fans. So I really like this approach, and it just goes with the overall, with all the other values that they share in this project. So I'm not even surprised actually.
I think that a big part, a real big part of this is the ownership group.
Yeah.
The fact that they embrace community the way they do, not just like with their approach with social justice and climate justice and that kind of stuff. It doesn't seem to me that they're guys who are just out there trying to make money.
Never.
I think it's something that they found that they have a passion in, and they kind of expanded on that by putting money into something that they had passion for, that
Yeah.
they knew that if they express their passion in a positive way that could impact the community, that it could work for them. So you know, I we watch things like Welcome to Wrexham and that kind of stuff when we see big celebrities buying little clubs
Hmm.
that are falling into disrepair and that kind of stuff. And we never had that little club, but I see that outside of the Ryan Reynolds stuff.
Yeah.
They have money to put into a club like that, but I it, pushing that aside, pushing Ryan Reynolds and the celebrity aspect of that aside, I see the kind of I see the passion that those folks have for their club in that town, in that area. Um, and I kind of liken it to something that we have here in Vermont. Um, and you can see that actually building right now, right? With over 1,000 season tickets
Yeah.
in a 2,500 seat capacity place, right? Um, that's pretty huge for a second season. And I see people that are not, they're not just saying, "Oh, this is going to be a good thing to do on a weekend with the kids." We have
Yeah.
nothing to
Sure.
do on this weekend. Let's take the kids to the soccer game, and let's take the kids to the football.
It was cool to see so many kids at the games.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's another big part of it is they embrace, like I'm saying, like I was saying with the community, is that they take um all these youth groups and all these youth soccer clubs, and they give them free tickets, and they encourage the youth to come and see these players play in front of them, or even if those kids are out back on the other fields, um encouraged to play soccer out there too, just to
Yeah.
you know just being around that and encouraging these kids to come out with their families. um it helps to build their excitement for the game too, and it
Yeah.
helps us, and helps them to see accessible kind of superstars in their lives.
Yeah.
My son and his buddies love Deep and Wegbo, and that was he was the big guy for all of those kids. Like Diva was the guy. um I've said this a number of times on the podcast. I love my midfielders. So my guy was Charlie Adams, but because he is one of our own. But
Yeah.
um, I'm going to bring it back to the impact, because I can't dismiss Jason's question here.
Okay.
Um, Jason said, "Can you feel a difference in the passion of the crowd in Montreal since they dropped the Impact name?" Because he hasn't seen
Yeah.
them since 2019.
Me. Yeah. Me for sure. Actually, last year, it was the second year of the new logo, and I just went to the first game by myself, like for fun, and it was a CONCACAF game against Cruz Azul in Montreal, and the Mexicans actually were screaming louder than us. It was actually embarrassing at the Olympic Stadium, and I pretty much didn't go back all season to the stadium, and yeah, so that year there was a difference for sure. Thing is, the end of the season was great actually. We went to conference final, I think, last year against New York City. So the house was packed for every game, but it's still was not the same thing, you know. Now we're trying to build a new supporter group, like, but replacing the ultra is just not feasible. You know, we're never gonna achieve this. It just will be something different. But you know, we'll never forget these guys, and if they want to come back, you know, the doors are open. But yeah, for sure, I feel a difference. I mean, just me and the other guys, there's just not as much emotion, and sometimes I just don't want to force it either, you know. Just
Yeah,
keep it natural, and you know, you can force your emotions. So yeah, that's kind of how I feel, but things are being fixed, I think. We'll see how the season unfolds, but it's looking better, that's for sure. Yeah.
very good, very good. Even though you guys are, I don't know if the rivalry with Montreal or CF Montreal or the Impact, however whatever we want to call them, is the same with the Revs. That say, you know, Montreal Canadiens and the Bruins have that rivalry. But I just don't want to get accosted when I come up there with my red, white, and blue on.
No, no, no. You won't
I'm
get
just
any
messing with
problems,
you.
that's for sure.
I'm just messing with you.
If it's not Toronto, you're all good. I can tell you that.
Um, so I guess I just have one more question for you. And how has your passion for your Montreal club, uh how has that informed your passion for Vermont Green? Like, is it similar, like your origin story, like is it similar, a similar fandom, or is it kind of different? Is it kind of different because Vermont is a community based club versus a larger
Yeah,
professional league?
I think it's literally like the opposite. Um, you know, in Montreal, I'm just born with it, you know, and I take the metro to go to the games, and it's just, yeah, it's just different because it's not the same type of league, not the same goals and everything. But in Vermont, I found something different, that's for sure. Like, first of all, I've never been to Vermont before. So when I came to the first game, it was the first time I stepped in Vermont. And there I discovered like beautiful people, a beautiful country, beautiful cities. You know, I've been to many states and I never experienced something like that in the United States. It actually feels kind of like Quebec, like the community feeling, like people are proud to be from Vermont, and you can sense that. And Burlington, it just charming, and all the pubs like BBCO, Weird Window, like everything around Burlington is beautiful, and the people are just awesome too. So I think it's even more natural for people to go out and go at the games. And for me, doing like driving for 2 hours to go down to Vermont is not even the hardest part, because even coming down is beautiful, like looking at the mountains and the fields, and the roads are beautiful, and then you get pumped for the game. So it's a completely different thing. Um, and I joined it. I enjoy it so far, and yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about it. Um, and then,
I absolutely just love your passion, and you guys are always welcome down here. Anytime you come down, you know, you're always welcome in our parking lot. You're always welcome in our south stands. Um, it's just an amazing experience to have met the folks from Montreal, um, and the fact that you guys have such a passion for our club. It's just it is quite amazing. It is quite
yeah,
amazing.
and we'll be back. And it's cool because now even in the playoffs, like I think we were celebrating like my grandfather's birthday, and I was like watching the game against the Islanders, like under the table, like just wishing for a goal, and I really get like emotional, like stressed, for the games, which is something that's not like it grows in you. Like even for my own CF, my own impact games, like sometimes I don't even feel this way, and then we get attached to the club, and now we're seeing guys like O'Malley and Etor and Deba like going to pro, and we're just like proud for them. So I think it's cool, and yeah, that's how I feel, and I think for the next I think I don't expect more from this club. I expect like the same things, just more magical moments, more great interactions with people from Vermont, more like kids on the field at the end of the games, like maybe fireworks, maybe more smokes, like who knows. But basically, like that's what I expect, and maybe like in few years we'll just go up in another league. But for the moment, like it's really enjoyable, and the product is really worth it if anyone's like not sure.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think that another thing to keep in mind is, as we saw on Twitter today, I mean, they've
Yeah,
breached 1,000 season tickets. And so that's not just somebody who's, going on a Saturday because they're free. It's somebody who's,
exactly.
thought ahead and is planning and has put money up front to attend these games. And so you have to imagine that, you know, not everyone's going to make it ever for every season ticket game, but you're going to see, large attendance, clearing around those numbers for at least
Yeah,
every game. So I think we're going to see a lot of increased passion. And I think with, people like you leading the charge, I think we're all in good hands here. So, we're really appreciative of your time for coming on today and talking to us about some, as you put it, League Four American Football Club. But we really
yeah.
appreciate it. So,
There's no problem. It'd be cool. Like reach out anytime. I can be back too. Like if one of you guys can't be here, I can be like co-host for one night. There's no problem.
well, of
And
course.
yeah, really cool. I'm watching every episode, so
Excellent. We love that. Yeah, and for me, before we go, we do have to always. I think it's going to be very important going forward for this podcast to do a little bit of housekeeping every single episode. So, myself, you can find me at Songbeard SNG Beard. On Twitter. I don't do a lot of Twitter, but you can find me there. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook. You can find us at United in Green Pod. And that's on Facebook and on Instagram. We will have a Twitter presence once the season gets going. And Will, if you want to do any of your housekeeping.
You can follow me at VT_Gooner if you want to see me recycle football opinions of other people. So
and Tristan, I know you have your social media. I'll let
yeah.
you go
There's
ahead and
pretty much
throw that.
just my Instagram if you want to follow me at Rain or Shine Media. So I post pretty much pictures of hockey, nightclubs, and Vermont Green FC. So yeah, I'm not looking. I'm doing this for the passion and for fun. So it's just cool.
All right. So for my closing thoughts here, I'm really looking forward to and I think I said this before, is like the imagery that comes along with Vermont Green is second to none, whether it's you, whether it's Spence, whether it's any of the other folks who are on the pitch capturing all the moments that we enjoy and we're able to enjoy together, like capturing those moments and seeing those pictures even like 6-7 months later and going, oh my gosh, I remember that moment. You know,
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome to me. And in those type of things that help to build our club and to propel our club to greater things. Like you have to know that, Tristan, that you are like a big part of that for this club. And
Well,
and
thanks.
and 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 your images are being used to sell this club to potential, you know, potential big players. And that's important to us. So you're important to us, Will, you're important to me. And as always, um, we can always say up the green.
Up the green. We'll see you next
Yeah.
time.
Up
Thanks,
the green.
guys. Let's get off of YouTube live because they don't need to hear any more of our